What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Martian and Ozzy podcast. This is our sixth podcast. And how you doing this week, Ozzy?
Pretty good, survived Hurricane Ida, made out no damage on this side. And, we march on to this, glorified, I guess, London card, a bunch of UK fighters that I hate all the time. But, we're doing our thing here, fresh off that bloodbath that most people had to go through last week. But, I'm looking forward a little bit past this fight. We got Contender Series back, but we got a few plays we like this week.
Yeah, last week was definitely a bit depressing. Our three big ones there were Brady, Battle, and Barbosa, and only one of those came through. Although Brady, plus 155 for a split decision. I thought he lost the fight, but it was close and not necessarily a bad bet. And Edson, definitely let us down. Giga looks really good, a lot better than a lot of us expected. So yeah, that was our first mutual losing event of the entire podcast. I lost 2.57 units. What about you, Ozzy, on Bet MMA?
I think I was like a unit, 1.53 units down. I will say though, two things. One, I think every play that I kind of, endorsed for the most part got steamed, between Barboza, Brady, I think closed like plus 108 on the sharpest MMA book. I think Battle closed like minus 230. And then, I told everyone Al Hassan was legit. You shitted all over that play. And he hit his win condition, as some would say.
I shitted all over him as a person, not
Shitted
necessarily
all
the
over.
bet. Hey,
Hey,
did you see my tweet?
You
I
said
redeemed
that the
myself.
Italian should be minus 300, man. I don't know.
Well, hey, like I said, I sent out the tweet that he got the cycle right. I saw the difference
Exactly.
in the pictures of the muscle tone, and that was the only reson why, because Al Hassan hit that HGH cycle just right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay,
win condition up the wazoo right there.
is what it is. Not talking shit. But and then the best play I think was the Sabatini submission, plus 550, 500, 6, wherever you got it. We did a little bit of a money line play on him, and that obviously hit. So, I'll tell you personally, I made I made out fine last week, especially a PFL as well when you include that into it. And the Jake and being able to get on Jake Paul. So very good week of combat sports for me. But I'll say once again, all those plays got steamed. I was trying to add on Battle late, and it's kind of I know people are looking for winners, but if all the plays keep getting steamed, might have to reconsider a little bit of the format here. But GM3, right? We had GM3 submissions, so that's another. So I didn't really track everything. I was at a dog. Nowadays people have dog birthdays, so I had to show face at one of those. That's why I
No
wasn't able to
fucking
get.
way. That's where you were.
I swear to God, it was.
So did you watch Gerald Mearshart fight?
No, no, I didn't watch it live. No,
So you watched a dog party instead of Gerald
hey,
Mearshart pulling off one of
I'll
the
tell you
biggest
right now.
upsets all year.
Yes, I'll tell you, chicks dig dog parties, so that's all that matters.
Chicks dig Gerald Mearshart, bro.
Chicks do dig Gerald Mearshart. I hope a lot of people sign up to his gym and go grapple with that lovely man, especially clean shaven. I like the clean shaven, but I only caught the battle fight was the first fight that I saw live. And I got a little bit of a D-Rod because someone texted me. They're like, "Hey, what's his name? Kevin Lee won the first round." I was like, all right, yeah, definitely bet. I signed on real quick and got like plus 250 or whatever on D-Rod. So, I made out fine last week. So Bet MMA, whatever. Like most of these plays, came through overall, and I think we're looking good overall. So
yeah, I think your predictions last week were better than mine. So
sure.
you deserve that one. So 10 fights this week. Not the strongest card, but there's a few low key bangers in here. Not the worst card ever. And let's get right into it. The first fight is in the bantamweight division. We have Jonathan Martinez as the minus 160 favorite, taking on Marcelo Rojo plus 140. I'll let you start this one off, Ozzy. What are you thinking? This seems like a pretty fun action fight at 135. What are your thoughts on this one?
Man, so we got Marcelo Rojo coming in here, second UFC fight. He's been training with, I think, what's his name, Brandon-Moreno. He came in on short notice in a Jourdain fight, up at 145 when his career used to mostly has been at 135. But the guy has not fought very good competition. That Jourdain fight was his first fight in almost 2 years, so I'm not sure what his career trajectory is. If you look at his record, most of the time when he goes out of the first round, he gets finished. He's only won one decision in his career. And Jonathan Martinez, I've been lukewarm on him for the most part overall. I liked him, I think, in a few spots, but if you look at his career, I think the way he uses his striking is pretty crafty. He's pretty intelligent in the pocket. That Davy Grant fight, I was on Davy Grant there just because the line was way too wide. But the speed that this guy throws his kicks. I mean, to be honest, if Martinez kickboxed with Charles Jourdain, I don't think he'd get blown out in any way, shape, or form.
No.
I think that he has better kicks than Jourdain. I think Jourdain might have better hands, but Jourdain loses the first round all the time. I mean, I think I'm high on Jonathan Martinez overall in that 135 division. He struggles to make the weight for sure, but the guy has power. His defense is pretty solid. I was surprised that he got cold cocked by Davy Grant like that, but Davy Grant has shown improvement for sure. I think he's definitely way better than Marcelo Rojo. So I think this line is pretty dumb. I don't really understand it very much. I don't think Marcelo Rojo has, he has a lot of submissions on his, I mean, a lot of submissions, but he has a lot of finishes on his record. But his ground game is not very good. I don't think. Like the only reason I think he has some submissions on his record is the level of competition that he had fought in the regional scene, and the guy slows down a ton. He had a break from like a BS eye poke in that Jourdain fight, and he still gassed horribly. He's going on 33 years. He's 33 years old. I don't see any improvement coming from him. So I already have some tracked action on Jonathan Martinez here at like -158, -155. I think that's a very, very fair line. I think there's value on it. I think he has the easy opportunity to finish Marcelo Rojo. I give Marcelo Rojo a very slim chance to win a decision here, and I think it would be mostly predicated on Martinez really struggling to make that 135 limit, and coming in slow, and then Marcelo Rojo jumping on him early. But I feel if Jonathan Martinez shows up, comes out his usual strategy, chops at the legs here on Rojo, I think he's going to have a ton of success. Rojo had a lot of success kicking at the legs of Jourdain, but I don't see that being a real path here versus him. And you saw once Jourdain found that range, started feeling good, he started landing that left hand in the pocket, and I think the same thing is going to happen here. And I think Martinez eventually gets to him. If not, he'll win a decision because he's definitely going to win the third round. And I think the -155 or 160 is definitely value.
Nice. Starting off with a strong take on the money line here. I agree with most of what you said. Rojo doesn't seem to do too well versus Southpaws, but I think you can't take too much negative away from that Jourdain fight because it was short notice. It was up a weight class. He did win the first round. I thought he put up a respectable effort, and you kind of got to be grateful for that because that's probably why we're getting the better line on Martinez now. I do agree that Martinez should be a little bit closer to -170, -200, honestly. And I have a bet on this fight. I did send out a tweet about it about 24 hours ago. And, the Martian definitely steamed this line. The Martian fans are out there listening because I bet fight ends by knockout at +165. It's already down to +130. It's already down on FanDuel as
Whoa.
well. So, yeah, I mean, that definitely is all me. I'm taking full credit for that shit. And that's gonna hit. These guys are gonna strike. Neither guy's a grappler. I'll be pretty shocked to see any offensive grappling from either guy here. And Martinez got power. He knocked down a lot of his recent opponents. He knocked down Signs, Lou, Grant early, and he's also a little bit reckless on the counter. Like Grant was able to hit him a lot of shots with his hands in round two there. Kind of a weird performance from Martinez there. I mean, he hurt Grant early, and then it seemed like he was doing nothing in round two, just getting outboxed. And then, like you said, he eventually got flatlined with a punch from Grant there. But Grant is a sneaky good boxer. And, I don't think that's a lot of what to do with this matchup versus Rojo. I mean, they're such different fighters. So I'm expecting a striking fight. I'm expecting Martinez to win, and I like the fight to end by knockout at plus money. So we're in agreement here. And let's get on to the next fight in the middleweight division. We have Marc-Andre Beyut as the -170 favorite, taking on Dalcha Lungiambula plus 145. And Bayou's been a pretty popular pick this week. He got bet pretty hard this past week, and I do think he has decided to be on here. But I have a little bit of concerns here because Bayou typically struggles getting taken down. We saw that in the Park fight; he got taken down by Andrew Sanchez a few times. And Dolce is an aggressive, wild wrestler. I don't think he's got really any great wrestling technique per se, but the guy is strong. He's aggressive and he can kind of just charge at you and get a suplex or a double leg of some sort like he did early on versus Marcus Perez. But other than that early bum rush takedown, I don't see much of a top game from Dolce. I don't think his striking is any good. He kind of just wings up wild punches. And I think MAB has got a lot better process. I think he's got the better cardio for sure. I mean, Dolce in rounds 2 and 3 versus Perez, he did virtually nothing in those entire rounds. So I give a big cardio advantage to Bayut here. I think he throws more strikes. And I think he's just a lot more conventional of a fighter. So unless he gets caught with some big punch early on here from Dolce, I don't see him getting out wrestled here. And I think he's going to outstrike Dolce. So I think the action coming in on Bayut is correct. And you might get an even better live price on Bayut after round 1 here. Dolce is going to probably have his best round early, and you might want to look to add some more in the live line on Bayut here. So I like the Canadian here to win. What are you thinking about this matchup, Ozzy?
Yeah, so when I first saw the short favorite price on MAB, I thought, hey, that's probably mispriced a little bit. I was on Perez against Dolce, and I think it was in that first round when Dolce went for like a big takedown, and Perez went for his neck that he was going to submit him there, but then he completely wilted under the pressure of Dolce, and I just can't. Yeah, the steam's coming in on MAB. There's no way that I'm touching it at this point. And I'm honestly getting a little bit interested on the Dolce side. If you look at MAB, the guy he barely gets out of first gear. His record is littered with split decisions. Both in his favor and that he loses. So I don't really trust him all that much. Dolce for all the we say, hey, his cardio is pretty bad. He's 5-0 in decisions. So I'm throwing out a stat for you there. I'm a big stat guy, and he's fought. I mean, when he was fighting over in Africa and EFC, he's fighting light heavyweights. He's fighting heavyweights over there. It's this is crazy. So this guy's a physical specimen. I think people are probably not giving him that much credit, and I think it's gonna be tough for MAB to finish this guy, even though MAB has a lot of finishes on his record. I just don't think that he has that much power. I think he's just not aggressive enough for me to think that he's going to go out there and pursue this finish over a guy who's as scary as Dolce is, especially early on. I know he got Abu out of there late there, but Abu completely fell apart there. That fight was super close. I think Abu definitely won the first round. I think MAB ended up pulling away the second round, like towards like the last minute and a half there. But I felt it was a close round, and then he dominated him in the third round and finished him. And I was on MAB there, so I'm lukewarm on him overall. I was on him against Pihota too, but I just don't think this guy is that great. I know people are saying, oh, he's at Sanford, this and for sure he's got some good training partners there. But when I'm looking at them, Beirut, he on the feet, he doesn't throw that many kicks. He's mostly punches. So if these guys are in the pocket here, Beirut gets hit with a tons of punches. You see his face all the time. It's all reddened up from getting punched in the face. So I don't really trust this guy at chalk. If you got him under -140, I think that's a good spot. But other than that, I think as this price improves, and I think it will continue to improve, I think Dolce is probably the side here if this goes north of +150. If you look at MAB and all the fights that he's lost, he's gotten soundly outstruck. Park took him down 5 times. Andrew Sanchez took him down twice. So his Park's a good wrestler. He's underrated wrestler, but he's not. You wouldn't say he's like, oh man, this guy has amazing takedowns and this. He's taken down guys like John Phillips, Tafan. He can't wrestle anyone, and MAB. Right, but he got completely dominated by Anthony Hernandez. So I don't think it's that far fetched to say that Dalcha will be able to take down MAB, because this guy is he's a tank. Like, there's no other way to put it. He's a truck on top, like I like to say a lot of times. And I think that Dalcha, I've heard, here and there that he's working, good over there at I think it's Extreme Couture. He's doing well with a lot of guys, and I think that he might be the side here. But I'm not interested until this price inflates a little bit, and I think it will continue to do so. But not laying the juice here on M&B for me.
Word. So we're gonna disagree on this one. I'll say that I like MAB's aggression. I don't think Dolce's a truck on top, and I value training at Sanford with guys like RoboCop, guys like Brendan Allen. I value that pretty well over Extreme Couture. So I'll pick MAB to justify -170 even at this price, and you'll be on the other side here. Let's move on to the next fight. Another fun matchup. This is a catchweight fight. I just realized that for the first time. We got Charles Jourdain -180 taking on Julian Juicy J-Erosa +155. I'll let you start this one off, Ozzy. What are your thoughts on this fun, I guess it's the featherweight, but catchweight fight?
Yeah, man. I'll tell you straight up, I'm on Juicy J here. I like him at this plus price. The narrative is mostly that his chin is shot. Jourdain's gonna get to him, but Jourdain, if you look at his fights, a lot of times he loses the first round, except for when he fights Andre Fili. I have a 5-unit bet on Andre Fili, and he wants to make me sweat it. Only guy that he could beat. But I think that today that interview came out where I knew this already beforehand, and I didn't tell you before. I had to share it other places, but I've heard that Juicy J is trying to get that contract extended. People are getting cut left and right off of losses, and he's coming maybe to grapple a little bit here against Jourdain. If you look at Jourdain, Coulibaly, Rojo, Choi, Green, all these guys beat him in the first round. It takes him a while to get going, and he's more of a traditional, knockout, just knockout guy. Even Marcelo Rojo goes down pretty much if you watch that fight from body shots to Jourdain. And Juicy J, he gets knocked out by Choi, gets flatlined there, but Choi's got a monster left hook. He's got way more power than Jourdain does at 140. I mean, this guy barely makes 145. Choi does. So and then in that Arce fight, I was on Juicy J at like +500, and it took a head kick from hell, to get him out of there. So and then he got knocked out by Devontae Smith. So Jourdain does not have the power that I think is going to for sure sleep Juicy J, and I think Juicy J overall is a better fighter than Jourdain, if I'm being honest with you. I think he has a better clinch game. I think his outside, jab and his conditioning is probably equal. And then overall, better camp, I feel. Jourdain just got his black belt, but to be honest with you, I think it's like so black belt, if I'm being honest. And I think that at the plus price, like +155 on he was +170 earlier on this week, but at +155 there's still value on this, in my opinion, because like Jourdain-Erosa, if he doesn't get knocked out, the fight's competitive. And if he doesn't get knocked out, he can finish you at any time, whether it be on the ground. You saw in that Woodson fight, he does not go away. He's got a submission game. He's got some takedowns. He has clinch ability. And he's got way more experience. And I think he's got almost like triple the fights that Jourdain does. I think Juicy J has close to 35 fights. So I mean, there's no way that I would lay this -180 price. I mean, it's like stealing for the books to be able to take +180 on Jourdain-Erosa. They're laughing to the bank here. So I'll be on Erosa for probably multiple units here. And let's see what happens. I hope his shin holds up. I hope that 150 catch weight helps him out. I heard that he was at like upwards of 170 here. But let's see. I like Jourdain. He does some cool stuff. He switches stances, has some good kicks. Not discounting him at all. But at this price, I have to back Jourdain-Erosa.
I mean, I like Julian-Erosa a lot too, but I just think his chin and his defense problems are so bad at this point that you can't really back him with any confidence in this matchup. I mean, if we look at his recent fights, I mean, you forgot to mention where he got wobbled a little bit by Nate Landwehr there. I mean, he almost took one knee versus Landwehr, which is not a good sign. But I mean, he's been dropped in 5 or 6 of his past 7 fights, knocked out in several of them. The Choi knockout was really bad, and that was June 19th. I mean, that was 10 weeks ago. he got flatlined. So I mean, I think he's coming back a little bit too soon
Happened with
here.
Turman last week. What happened with Turman? We were sure he was going to get knocked out, and
No, that's not true. We weren't sure of anything.
I
I mean, we
was.
were skeptical of his chin, but I mean, he's also taken a lot less career damage than Jourdain-Erosa has. I mean, Turman's only like 25 or 26 too. Erosa is not young, like you said, 35 fight veteran at this point. And one also thing you said that was a little bit wrong was Jourdain did drop Rojo with a straight left hand to the head in that fight, but eventually did find the finish due to body shots. But I mean, plus 155, I'm not going to firmly disagree. I'm definitely not in a rush to lay Jourdain chalk here, especially considering that he does typically lose the first round. He got dropped by Culibao, had a tough first round versus Rojo. So the guy is prone to starting slow. So I guess Erosa is the side at plus 155 here. You should probably take some of that early knockout props as well. But it's hard to avoid the inevitable feeling that Erosa is going to get rocked some point really badly in this fight. And, his durability is just such a concern. I think the ends by knockout in this fight is good value too, as well. I mean, even at minus 115, even at juice odds, I mean, Erosa's fights are always looking like they're going to end by knockout on both sides. I mean, he's a good pressure striker. He knows how to pressure opponents and figure them out as they go. It's just a matter of can he survive that early storm, that early first shot that he takes. And at this point in his career, I can't have any faith in him to do that. I mean, I bet him in his past two fights. I mean, I bet him against Landwehr, and I thought we got a little bit lucky scraping that one out. I mean, it looked like he could have, got finished at any point in that Landwehr fight too. So I like Erosa a lot as a fighter. I do agree that he's the better grappler here. He does have a grappling path to victory, but the guy is not enough of a reliable wrestler, I think, to really back him. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with the bet on him at plus 150 here at all. So I guess it's dog or pass, but I'm still picking Jourdain. I'll leave it at that. I got to pick Jourdain knockout. So bet on ends by the knockout here, minus 115. And that's going to take us to the next fight, which is in the bantamweight division. We got undefeated Jack Shore as the minus 600 favorite, taking on Shore-Sholinian, who is coming off the Contender Series at plus 400. I think Sholinian is how you say it. So Sholinian only has about 4 or 5 fights available on tape, and honestly, the guy's tape isn't bad. He had some decent performances on the Ultimate Fighter. He beat the number 1 seed Raposo there. Raposo, I think, is a wrestler, right, Ozzy? And he ended up getting out wrestled in that fight, out grappled by Sholinian.
125.
Oh, really? Yeah. So you could see the size difference there. And then he put up a valiant effort against Tertius, but was pretty soundly beaten there as well. I've been skeptical of Shore for a while now. Both of us were skeptical of him in his last fight. We were betting on Azure there. Rewatching that, I was actually a little bit more impressed with Shore, but I still have a lot of questions about the guy. I think people who are, looking for a good parlay piece this weekend are like parlaying the inside the distance for sure. I disagree with that. I think that Sholinian is tough. He's competent enough everywhere that he could probably see a decision here. Outside of rear naked chokes, Shore is not that great of a finisher. He's not going to finish you on the feet. Sholinian should actually, I mean, I can't see any way that he's going to win the fight here. I mean, I don't think he's the better grappler or striker, but I don't think he's completely blown out of the water here. So it's dog or pass even at these odds. And, Sholinian might put up a decent fight, might have some grappling success here. So, you thinking along the same lines as me, Ozzy, or you think that Shore is going to make easy work here?
Yeah, I refreshed on Ludovic here because when I was going into when I was just seeing the cast come out, I was curious to see if potentially he can make a run there to win the tournament. I've definitely been skeptical about Shore. He beat. I mean, thing is, when you have a grappler that comes out of the UK, you have to be skeptical about them. But Shore is like the closest thing I think the UK is gonna have to Khabib. I mean, the most budget poor man's like bum Khabib possible. You saw in that Azure fight the first time he fought someone who knew anything about what a Granby roll is, about how getting your hips over your opponent, any of that stuff. He's losing position all the time to Azure. And while I agree that when I rewatch that fight, I'm like, yeah, definitely Shore won that fight. It was a close fight, I thought. I thought, if they fought again, I'll bet Azure. You give me the same price. It was like plus like 200 or close to that. I'll take Azure again versus Shore. I think some slight adjustments could get him to win that fight. But I'll give Shore credit. He's the meta of fighting and grappling. He knows the dominant positions. He knows, I used to teach kids jujitsu all the time, and I would tell them, because they'll get taken down, and as soon as they get taken down, they'll get, bottom mount, right? The other kid will get, and I'm like, hey, look, if you can't defend a takedown, think of the next position. And Shore is always ahead of these guys. He knows to go to mount, to take the back, to get the hooks, all those things. So, I mean, I'm looking at this fight here. Shore, I don't like his striking at all. But I'm looking. I watched that Cachero fight with Ludovic, and Cachero's like so scrambly under Ludovic. He's reversing him. Like Ludovic had some good takedown entries, but some of his takedowns were pure garbage. But at times he would get into some takedowns that were really, really good. So I think this potentially could be a tough fight for Shore. If Shore thinks it's gonna be an easy fight, I think he's in trouble. I mean, minus 600, I think is too much. So I probably will take a little bit of a shot on Ludovic, or maybe fade some kind of thing with Shore, because I just don't think that Ludovic's going out easily. I will say Shore is pretty big for one, like just like I think he cuts a lot of weight, like he's pretty full and strong for 135. So I think if he does get on top of Ludovic for extended periods of time, I think Ludovic could be in trouble, because I don't think his bottom game is that developed. But in the wrestling, I think he could potentially do some similar things that Azure did. I think he probably could counter a little bit more. That Azure was just completely scared to actually shoot takedowns or attack Shore very much. He was good at working off the fence at times, but and then on the feet, you saw in that Ricky fight, Ludovic's not scared to trade in the pocket. I think that Shore, he's talking about his Muay Thai and all this garbage. Like this guy does not have any. Jack Shore is getting iced soon. I'll tell you that right now. He's getting iced soon, and I think that this treatment right here is kind of treating him more or less like he's a top 10 guy, and I just don't see it. I don't believe it. I think he's gonna get beat up pretty soon. Probably this is not the spot, but I don't love the inside the distance paying juice on Shore inside the distance. Don't like that at all. He pissed me. I hate Jack Shore just because Aaron Phillips tapped with like 1 second to go to get me that over 1.5. I was fuming. I was
Brutal.
like absolutely fuming that day. It's just ridiculous. And I mean Shore. I mean, you see the guys that Shore has beat, a bunch of like puny guys, real tiny dudes like Aaron Phillips, Noelin Hernandez, who could barely win fights on Combate. This guy has not fought real guys. So Ludovic could probably be the best win on his record, and this is the most juice you're gonna ever have to pay on Jack Shore. It's completely ridiculous. The minus 600 is probably gonna cash, but again, the books are like you're gonna get plus 600. That's like what is that, like 15%? 14% win condition, completely ridiculous. So give me Ludovic probably here. Hopefully the parlay boys come out and they keep doing this, and we get like plus 500, 550 on Ludovic. Maybe we take the over here, or over 2 rounds,
Yeah,
something. Maybe
starts round 3 minus 134 on
yeah,
FanDuel right now. That's a
yeah,
good bet.
maybe starts round 3, thinking that maybe Shore, because Shore, he has some good takedowns. I'll give him credit against the fence, all that. He has some good takedowns for sure. But I think Ludovic could probably keep getting up, and his cardio is decent. Like in the third round against Azure, he did perform well, and it was his best round of the fight. But I think that Ludovic could probably survive early if he's smart, and his cardio is okay, even though he is on short notice. So I'm probably gonna try and fade some kind of those early Shore props, and maybe take some of that round 3. But Shore's getting iced soon. I'm just waiting for the right opportunity. But we'll see if how involved I get. But I think that Shore probably gets it done here by decision. I think just with these takedowns, putting Ludovic against the fence, he's able to be in this small cage and able to implement his game well. So interesting fight here. I wish that we would have had Shore versus either of those first 2 guys, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, I don't really know. Oh yeah, he was supposed to fight better guys, but
Yeah.
they yeah, it's a bummer. Interesting matchmaking there. But yeah, it's not like Sholinian has ever been like soundly out grappled on his tape either. So Shore minus 600 definitely off there. Moving on to probably the worst fight on the card, women's flyweight division. We have a near pick'em here, Molly the Can McCann minus 113, taking on Jiyeon Kim, minus 107. I'll let you start this one off, Ozzy, on this high-level affair. What are you thinking about this one?
I mean, look, the only side I ever pick is against Molly McCann, or I pass. Like, I will never back Molly McCann with any dollars ever. Her path to victory here is getting in on Kim's hips. If these girls stay on the outside and striking, I think Kim's gonna bomb away on her. Molly probably is going to have some counters at some point. And try to throw some haymakers. I know someone compared Molly McCann to Frankie Edgar. So maybe she could work in her blitzes and takedowns in there. But Kim's been in the U.S. for a while now. She's at, I believe, Syndicate MMA. She's been there, like I said, for a while. And I think she's been working with some good girls there. I think she's been working with maybe has she been working with my girl Casey O'Neill? Not sure. But either way, Molly McCann, she's not a good fighter. She'll get if she does not get takedowns, even if she does get takedowns here, I think Kim potentially could get back up to her feet and give Molly McCann, hell on the feet. She's got like an 8-inch reach advantage. Molly, for all her for all the time that she's been in the sport, has not really developed that much of a like good top game that she links a lot of stuff together. I know she almost got that armbar on Lara Procopio, but I just don't believe in any parts of her game that blend in together. And I feel that Kim, she fought against Grasso. I think she actually won that first round against Grasso, or it was slightly competitive. Then Grasso started getting that timing on her and catching her with tons of punches. But I think that probably Kim is the side here. I don't think I'm gonna get involved unless I could get Kim at maybe a plus price. And I hear some people that like Molly here, but there's no way that I'm interested in her at any price. To be honest with you, and it's probably gonna be a complete pass for me.
Yeah, it looks like this might be your first camp at Syndicate, but training with Norma Dumont and Joanne Calderwood. That's some pretty good training partners there. And I agree that Kim should be the much better striker here. I guess I could see some path of McCann just like pressuring and spamming strikes. Maybe Kim isn't too comfortable in the small cage, but I mean, technique wise, Kim is much better, the better boxer, knows how to use her length pretty well. And the only way I see McCann winning is hitting takedowns here. I do think McCann has a good understanding of winning rounds. She does typically shoot takedowns late in rounds to kind of secure close rounds. So maybe she can kind of maneuver her way into doing that here. Lauren Murphy is also good at that. That last 30 seconds, 60 seconds, shoot a takedown in a close round. Sometimes you could steal it on the judges' scorecards. But Kim's takedown defense isn't that bad. I think that she's a good overall fighter. And at pick 'em price, I do agree Kim's the side. And doesn't feel great backing her at this minus price here, but I think McCann would need some really good, fortunate sequencing here with those takedowns at the end of the rounds because she's going to be getting outboxed most of the fight, in my opinion. So I'll pick Kim decision here as well. And that's going to move us on to the first fight in the main card, lightweight division. We have Pimblett making his UFC debut, minus 156, taking on Luigi Vendramini. Man, this is a these guys have a really English names and really Italian names. And I don't think either guy is that good, honestly. I think that Vendramini is the better striker of the two. Pimblett is the better grappler. But in those respective disciplines, neither guy is, blowing each other out of the water, in my opinion. Neither guy is that great. Vendramini as a striker, we saw him hurt Ari early and swarm him with some strikes. We saw him have some late success against Fares Ziam with his strikes. So if Vendramini can just pressure Pimblett, throw together some strikes, I think he should connect on Pimblett because what I've seen from Pimblett's boxing defense, it's terrible. I mean, the guy pulls his head back in a straight line. And watching his fights, I didn't study the guy intensively, but I watched his past 5 fights and I didn't see much improvement from the guy. I mean, I think he's a guy who, if he gets takedowns, he can win the fight, but I'm not seeing any improvement in his striking. His defense isn't getting any better. I don't think his wrestling is that great. And when guys stuff his takedowns, he really runs out of ideas. I've seen lots of his fights where his takedowns get stuffed and he just holds on to legs for 3 or 4 minutes, just hoping some miracle is going to happen. But I don't think the guy is good at coming back from losing. I don't think he's been in many tough fights over there in Cage Warriors. When he starts losing, he typically just gets dominated, like in the Soren Bach fight, like in the Nad Narimani fight. So I don't rate Pimblett too highly, but I do think he is the better grappler than Vendramini here. There's not a whole lot of tape out there of Vendramini grappling, but um, I just didn't see good things early on in his regional fights. But uh, it's hard to be confident in Pimblett here because he needs takedowns to win. I definitely don't think he can win the fight if it stays standing, and I don't think his grappling and wrestling is that reliable enough to trust at minus 150 here. So I'm going to say it's dog or pass in this one. I guess I'll still be picking Paddy Pimblett here, but I give a striking, a cardio, probably a power advantage to Vendramini here. So maybe Vendramini knockout props have some value, and I'll definitely be cheering for the Italian Vendramini here. What are your thoughts on this one, Ozzy?
Yeah, my biggest issue with Paddy Pimblett is, I'm super skeptical about his cardio. I just, I've seen just a bunch of his fights that he significantly slowed down. That Jourdain-Erosa fight, although it was at 145, he was hurling after that fight, which was a robbery. He got a robbery hometown decision, but he's thrown up right after the fight. But and I'm not high on Luigi at all. I was huge on ZM. He gave me a nice sweat there, but and I faded him against uh Yasim or whatever Ayari as well. But here, I feel that realistically he's 1 and 2 in the UFC. He has to know that Paddy Pimblett is coming in here to wrestle. Like you said, if these guys are on the feet, I think Vendramini probably could chop at this guy's legs. He has better hands, and you saw in the Zim fight, which was in that big cage, that once Luigi committed to coming forward, he landed on Zim, even though Zim was, way better at, keeping range than Paddy Pimblett will ever, even dream of being. So I think this small cage, he'll be able to track Paddy down if Paddy slows down even in the slightest bit. Paddy's probably gonna be super enthusiastic, so he should probably watch out for like flying knees and a bunch of bullshit. Everybody wants to fade Paddy Pimblett, but even though I say that, action is coming in his direction. But you always fade these British guys, man. No matter what, you fade these guys because these UK betters, just like Molly McCann, these guys are betting Molly McCann right now. So, I'm definitely gonna fade Paddy Pimblett. Let's see, guys. Don't bet it early. Wait. They will keep betting Paddy Pimblett. It's a fact. They will do it. So I'm taking Luigi here, even though Paddy is probably, like you said, I'll say he's a more dangerous grappler. I'm not sure, in terms of if these guys are scrambling around, if Luigi can't, keep top position and escape and do certain things. But Patty's definitely more dangerous with the submissions. He's definitely looking to finish way more than Luigi is. But I trust Luigi a bit more here. And I think that he's definitely the side here, especially as, we're getting close to plus 140. I don't know when was the last time this guy fought? Patty hasn't fought in. I guess he
About
fought
5 or
earlier this
6
year.
months.
Yeah, he fought earlier this year, but it was against like a kind of
A
low
walk in
level
the
dude. It was
park.
like a
Yeah.
1.5 minute fight. So he doesn't have that much cage time recent. And he was a former 145er. So I think Luigi here could win this fight, especially late. And I think he's a side here for sure.
And one other point, I just think Patty has like a super inflated ego, and the guy hasn't lost a minute of a fight since 2018. He's had 2 easy fights since then. So this is going to be the first time this guy's been tested in 3 years in the UFC in America. I don't know if he's ever fought in America, right? And
This
the
guy
guy,
got heel hooked by Stevie Ray, man. Come on.
and he's also just so reliant on back takes. I mean, most of his submissions are rear naked chokes. It's not like the guy has, incredible submissions from all areas. He really is relying on that rear naked choke, and I just don't like the guy as a fighter much. And hoping to see he loses. Even if he wins this fight, it's going to set up a nice future fade. So
This
that'll
guy
be a
got heel hooked by Stevie Ray in a grappling match.
bad sign. All right, we're gonna move on to the next fight. Let's see. It's in the light heavyweight division, I believe. Yep. We have Modestas-Bukauskas as the minus 155 favorite, taking on Khalil Rountree plus 135. It's your turn to start this one off. What are you thinking
Sure.
about this big boy
Sure.
matchup?
My boy MB, I was big on MB against Jimmy Crew, and he's throwing kicks, without, naked kicks without defending his chin, and he got bombed down. And I think is, big potential of this happening again here. Khalil Rountree, complete head case, no idea where he's training at right now. I know for his last fight, he was at what's it called? Tiger Muay Thai before that fight against what's his name, Prachnio, where Prachnio is like plus 400. That's one of the most ridiculous lines I think you'll ever see. You know, Khalil Rountree being a -5, he's 8-4 and a -500 favorite. If you
Some people thought he won that fight.
I don't care. If
Come
you
on.
bet Khalil Rountree there at -500, you're not going to make it straight up. You know, even if you're listening to this podcast, probably not going to help you. But you know, let's get to this fight. You know, Bukauskas, I think decent at range, 78-inch reach, uses his kicks well, has a long jab, has fought some decent guys. Both, you know, he's fought Hamlet before he got to UFC, fought Andreas, even though Andreas looked like a bum in that fight against the Canadian guy, the Indian Canadian dude, I think he's solid. And you know, he's fought some solid guys. So and that against Mikal, I thought that was a pretty good fight overall. So I think here against Khalil, you know, Khalil is going to get a kickboxing fight, so that's why it makes it a little bit volatile. And I understand why some people would want to bet Khalil because he has that power. But this guy, he's just a mental midget, man. If Bukauskas can do anything against him, I feel he's gonna fade. Bukauskas has great cardio. He's actually, I think, pretty well rounded. He has not shown much of his grappling game, but I think he would have the ground advantage if this somehow would reach the floor. And I just don't believe in Khalil Rountree at all. I don't think he is a UFC guy. He has some talent, right? But he's riding off of that Eric Anders win, right? Where he I don't know what was wrong with Eric Anders that day. I hear that Khalil got like hypnotized or something that fight, right? I think that's what Joe Rogan said, but no idea where that guy is. Never seen him again. And the Gokhan, so he's riding off of like a few real strange performances. So I think that Bukauskas is the side. Action is coming in on Rountree. I'm seeing some Bukauskas at like -146 here on FanDuel best price. So I'm gonna sit and wait because I feel people are gonna be most interested in Khalil because you know Bukauskas has not really won UFC fights. But he's the side here, in my opinion. I think he'll be able to land some kicks on Khalil, keep him away, keep him at range, and then hopefully not get hit with a bomb.
I'm a little hesitant, honestly, because I do have a lot of skepticism about Khalil Rountree, and it's hilarious you brought up that Eric Anders fight. I mean, that guy won that fight and got on the Joe Rogan podcast off of that one fight. I mean,
Crazy.
imagine that
That's
you beat
crazy.
Eric Anders, and he's got to be like the worst fighter that's ever been on Joe
Hands
Rogan's
down. Hands
podcast.
down.
So I see a lot of similarities between these guys. Rewatching their most recent fights, one I'll start off. It should be pretty irrelevant, but both guys have really bad takedown defense, and they're both pretty bad off their back. But there's it's unlikely that there's going to be any grappling in this fight. I also noticed that both guys are pretty awkward. You know, Bukauskas is kind of noodly at times. Khalil Rountree honestly looks pretty stiff. You know, he's been taking that Muay Thai a little too seriously, staying in that stiff Muay Thai stance. And another similarity is both these guys have good success when they're throwing kicks, yet they don't kick enough. They both throw majority hands in their last fight, and I think that they would be a lot better if they mix up their kicks. One thing I saw from Khalil Rountree is when he's southpaw and he's fighting an orthodox fighter, he's getting that lead leg of his lit up, and that takes away a lot of the power out of his punches. And Khalil just tends to throw single shots. Like he'll throw a single straight left hand, a single check right hook, and he doesn't really follow it up much. Even when he briefly dropped Prachnio in that fight, he was still following up with a single kick, a single punch. I mean, if he could have strung together a few shots there, he might have got Prachnio out of there. But most of that fight, he got out-volumed by the more versatile, the higher volume striker, and that's probably what's going to happen here. If this fight stays in the feet for 15 minutes, you definitely got to favor Bukauskas if it gets to the decision. But it's also a striking fight. You're going to give Khalil the fight he wants. We're not likely to see any takedowns from Bukauskas here. So I think, you know, we might be seeing a little bit too much of a market correction here. Like you did say, Khalil was -400 in that fight. It was a mildly competitive striking fight, but I did think he lost rounds 1 and 3 there. And now we're seeing him as the underdog here to Bukauskas, who has struggled of his own right. Also, Bukauskas probably should have won that fight against Olachechuk. I mean, I thought there was a case he won all 3 rounds, honestly, but kind of got unlucky in the scorecards there. So I think it is a volatile striking fight. We could see either guy get knocked out here. I think that Rountree is the more durable of the two, though. So I'm leaning a little more towards dog or pass, although I'll still be picking Bukauskas to win. And I think he'll probably have a better live entry on Bukauskas here. Khalil is going to start round one pretty strong. And that happened versus Olechechuk. He lost the first few minutes there, but kind of woke up and eventually rocked Olechechuk with a punch and kind of turned the tides there. So maybe look for a live bet here on Bukauskas. So a little less confident than you in
What
this
I'll
one.
say is one more piece of analysis here is Bukauskas in that fight against Olechechuk. I got that name right.
Yep.
I liked how he was circling away from that left hand, and I think he's gonna be, because he did that last time. I trust that he's gonna be able to stay away from Khalil's left hand here.
Yeah. I mean, similar match. I mean, it's kind of hard, a taller black guy, smaller white guy. It's kind of funny to compare the two of them, but their fighting styles, kind of similar. Southpaw boxers don't throw a whole lot of kicks. Not the most high
It's
level
high level
strikers.
analysis right there. I'm telling you,
Right.
Olechechuk had a real hard time landing that left hand there.
Yeah, back-to-back matchups against a similar similar matchup. That's a good benefit for Bukauskas here. And moving on to the next fight, which takes place in the welterweight division, we have Alex Morono minus 128, Zawada plus 108. Zawada's been a pretty popular underdog, and I think I have kind of underrated Zawada throughout his career. He has been in 4 UFC fights. All 4 of them have been, somewhat competitive. The Jing Liang fight was probably the least competitive of them all, but he had a split decision against Danny Roberts, somehow found his way to a split decision against Ameev. It was looking pretty bad for him against Nurmagomedov, but he pulled off that crazy triangle. And, the guy has terrible takedown defense, but he can throw up a good submission off his back. And he's a decent striker as well. But the reason why he made that fight close against Ameev was because he was able to scramble up from the top position, and Ameev is just a low volume striker. He's known for throwing, only landing 50 or 60 strikes a fight. But Morono, I think, is a much higher volume striker, a much more reliable guy to throw high volume like he did in that Rice McKee fight. And Morono isn't known for wrestling. He definitely hasn't hit a lot of takedowns throughout his career, but he did hit a few against McKee because he knew that McKee is a bad defensive grappler. So Morono could possibly lean on that here, hit some easy takedowns because Zawada practically falls over at the first time you grapple up with him. I mean, the guy's takedown defense is really bad, probably because he loves those submissions off his back too much. So if Morono can avoid that triangle, that armbar, he could get some top time here. And when the fight stays in the feet, I'm going to favor Morono with the higher striking volume as well. But Zawada, like I said, has proved me wrong before. He might make the striking more competitive than I expect here. So I believe we're in a disagreement here, Ozzy. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I've bet on Zawada every single fight he's had in the UFC, so I'm down money on it. I'm down money on him. I thought that Ameev fight was, I thought he had an opportunity to win that fight, but Ameev is such a weasel. I hate him. I'm glad I was able to get I'm glad I was able to get some money back on him versus, or I guess that was his last fight. I don't know. I've tried to fade Ameev for forever. I got some money on him versus Rocco, but yeah, I mean, like the fact that you even brought up that Reese McKee fight, like just throw that thing completely out. Reese McKee's a complete bum. He'll struggle to win fights, in Cage Warriors. It's ridiculous that he even had a fight in the UFC, to be completely honest with you. I think Morono, that's the only time I think Morono's ever I mean, I guess he looked good against Pettis early on. He stunned him, but then Pettis completely styled on him. His chin looked shaky at times, I think, versus Pettis. Obviously, he got cleaned by Chaos Williams. Max Griffin, if Max Griffin shot takedowns any earlier on him, he would have won that fight. And then Zach Otto, he's also a bum. So, Zawada's been in I gotta stop calling guys bums. I want to be more respectful. Need to stop doing that. But
Zach
Zawada's
Otto's not that bad either.
what's that?
Zach Otto's not that bad either.
God, come on. So Wada's been at ATT for like five or 6 months now. You saw his Polish. I think Zawada's Polish. I'm not sure.
He's German.
But okay, my bad. But
those two countries don't have a very friendly history either.
exactly. That's why I was going to say something. But anyway, You saw what happened when a lot of these European guys like Gamrot, these guys have been going over there and they've been hitting the nas since they go over there. Zawada has a really complete game. He's got good strikes on the feet. Good. He's good at range. In my opinion, he's got really good kicks. He'll throw calf kicks. He'll throw body kicks. He'll throw head kicks. And yeah, he gets a little complacent on his back. But Morono's just not the guy to be laying juice. Like the only time he was ever a favorite, I think, is against Reese McKee. The other times he's probably close to like Pick'em. Let me look.
He justified favorite though that time.
Against Reese McKee, he definitely did. I mean,
he is,
who
but
can't justify favorite against Reese McKee?
he
Who
is
cannot do that?
he
Can't.
is a market underrated fighter. I mean, the guy was just
I
plus 150 and
I think
dusted.
Zawada's a market underrated fighter. Look at the guys that Zawada's been fighting. These are tough fights, man. I think the Jiling Liang fight, it was kind of tough. Like that was, I think, an underwhelming performance. But the other fights, I think he definitely paid off his price. I feel here, he'll be able to scramble up against Morono. Morono does not have good top control, and when they're at range, I think it's close to 50-50 on the feet because Morono throws a lot of wide strikes. And I think he's getting a lot of hype off of Killing Cowboy. I think Zawada would probably have a I don't know if he'll knock Cowboy out because he doesn't really have as much power in the hands. But I think it'd be a competitive fight there. And I think Zawada's got a lot of upside overall. And I saw, I think he was in the corner of like Tercio somebody. Go back, watch that tape. He's looking a little full, if you know what I mean. So I don't know how ready he is for this fight. He has not been training for a fight. He is a late replacement. Zawada is not. Zawada's been here and focused on getting a fight before maybe going back to Germany. He's got a reach advantage here. So Zawada's aside. I was kind of sleeping on the price because the fight card is just a little bit underwhelming. But even at this like plus 120, I think there's decent justification for Zawada maybe even be a favorite here, as crazy as that might seem. And I like him here still at plus 120, and I think I'll have a little bit of a wager there.
Yeah,
And
interesting.
maybe look at the over because I think, even though both these guys have a lot of finishes on the record, they don't have that many times where they've been finished themselves.
Yeah,
I guess like they don't. I don't think that I don't think either of these guys. Like even though I said about Morono's chin a little bit, like I said, I don't think Zawada has devastating
yeah.
power.
What is goes the distance here? It should be like minus 200.
It's not for sure.
Minus
It
150.
is minus 150.
Yeah, I mean,
Over is
I do
minus
think that.
165.
I mean, I think this one's pretty likely. I mean, I guess Zawada submission is probably the most reliable one, right? The most
It's
reliable
800.
finish. Yeah, that's not bad. I didn't know that about Morono coming in late notice either. I wonder how much time he had to prepare for this one.
Not a lot, dude. Not a lot.
Also,
Zawada was
not,
supposed to fight some Sergey guy.
oh yeah, Hondoskov, who's terrible.
Go watch what Alex Morono was looking like. I'm telling you, he's not looking that
Yeah,
great.
that's he doesn't have many recent pictures on Instagram, which does honestly worry me of him training. But I'm sure he's ready. I'm picking Morono regardless. We're disagreeing on this one. Let's see who's right next week. Next fight, co-main event, heavyweight division. We have Tom Aspinall minus 240, Sergey Spivak plus 205. What are your thoughts on this heavyweight matchup in the co-main event, Ozzy?
Everybody's talking about Sergey Spivak like he's a side. They just want to fade Tom Aspinall. I think overall, Aspinall has had maybe a little bit of sketchy moments that you've seen on tape, like some of his regional stuff where he's like caught on his back, and I think he might have gassed in one fight. But Sergey Spivak's awful, man. Like he's getting hit by Oleinik on the feet, like hit clean. If Oleinik had any power, he would have put Sergey Spivak out cold. And then Spivak was able to ground Carlos Felipe and Vandera a few times and, finish Vandera, which is crazy. Vandera got finished by him. But Spivak, like, this guy's just slow. He's plotting. If Aspinall does not fall apart and gas, I just don't see Spivak winning. Aspinall has shown a few times some ground ability. I saw him, go for a few submissions off his back. I think he got submitted by Stuart Austin. I saw, but I just think that early on, and I mean, Spivak has no takedown entries, dude. His takedown entries is going into the clinch, hanging on you, and then going for like single legs and double legs. He has no explosive takedowns. And when these guys are at range, Tom Aspinall is gonna punch him clean in the face. If he's getting hit consistently by Alexei Oleinik at range, and he's swinging back and forth with him with no defense. This guy can't even hold his hands up in the second and third rounds. And fortunate for him, Oleinik is completely gassed and can't get him out of there. But even when he's grappling, Oleinik's able to get on top of him. And given that being said, obviously Oleinik is a legit grappler, but it's not like this guy's a hammer on top at all. People are getting fooled by him holding down Carlos Felipe and Vandera. Like, are you kidding me? This should not even be much credit given there. I think on either of those, like Carlos Felipe wins striking battles when he's at range against like a bunch of these pudgy dudes. If Andrei Arlovski chooses to take Felipe down, it's over. And it wasn't over against Spivak. He was able to get up on multiple occasions and almost win that fight. I don't know how it was a majority decision. I guess he won a 10-8 round, and then Felipe won 2 10-9 rounds. But I think that Aspinall more than likely knocks this dude out in the first round. This price is going down. And if it goes down further, I don't like backing Brits and I don't like paying juice, especially on heavyweights, but I'll consider it if this goes, much lower. And that's how I really feel about Sergey Spivak. And Tom Aspinall, like I said, I think he has some grappling game. He's definitely got power, and he's pretty accurate. That's the main thing that I think is probably underrated on a lot of these heavyweight guys or strikers at heavyweight. It's accuracy, man. A lot of these guys have power, although Sergey Spivak has no power. And I'll regret it if he knocks out Aspinall, but I don't think he has any power. But Aspinall, the main thing I feel is this guy's accurate. And I think he's going to knock Sergey Spivak out at some point.
I think I'm going to disagree with like every single thing you possibly said. I'm disappointed in you, Ozzy. I'm disappointed. So
explosive takedowns from Spivak. You're gonna
no. All right, there are a few things. Yeah, that is true. He does kind of have to drag you along the fence first. But
like his striking.
But if his striking's better. B-. We agree on that. So you're like looking at this stuff from time to time as well. Tom Aspinall, he's got what, 9 wins, 10 wins, and only one of them comes out of round 2. It was against Andrei Arlovski, and don't front about this. At the end of that round 1 versus Andrei Arlovski, did you kind of think the tides were turning a little bit there? Did you think that Andrei was starting to wake up?
Of course, but that's Andrei Arlovski, 55 veteran, not Sergey Spivak.
I'm telling you, they're very comparable at this stage of their career.
Bro,
I agree that So Arlovski looked like he was taking over, starting to land his hands. He was getting caught in the pocket a little bit, Aspinall. And then he got that random double leg takedown, no hook rear naked choke. That was such bullshit. You're not going to get Sergey Spivak with this. But I mean, the fight has left round 1 3 times. I mean, if you look at this guy's record, actually, most of his fights have ended in 90 seconds. I think, every one of his wins except Andrei Arlovski has been in less than 100 seconds. So I think there's good reason to fade this guy. The Stuart Austin fight, it was 6 years ago, but he's in top position, hammering away at Stuart Austin, and then gets reversed and leg locked like 10 seconds later. I mean, it's a super embarrassing jiu-jitsu moment. A jiu-jitsu fellow like yourself should have that, burned into his memory. And Sergey Spivak, I thought there was a little bit of disrespect on the Moldovan monster there for Ozzy, because I think the guy is a competent striker. He did outbox Felipe in round 1, started to get outboxed in round 2, but I think the guy's got a decent jab. He knows how to high guard. He knows how to, in my opinion, fight with kind of like a risk adverse style. I think he's not going to give Aspinall too many opportunities to box here. I think he's going to look to clinch and look to take Aspinall down. That's definitely his best path to victory. But if the fight gets out of round 1, if Aspinall or if Spivak is able to survive that early onslaught, I think there's a good chance that Spivak can make this fight close in the striking in rounds 2 and 3, because Aspinall is just so unproven late in fights. 0 wins past 6 minutes, only 1 win outside of 100 seconds. And I think Spivak has the much more reliable cardio. He had a tough fight versus Carlos Felipe, dug deep in round 3, got a dominant 10-8 round 3. And when he's on top, he is active. He lands good ground and pound. He can submit you with arm triangles. He knows how to keep top, and he's heavy on top. And I think if Spivak gets on top of Aspinall here, he's going to land damage, and he's going to put Aspinall in some bad positions. So I'm fading your picks here. I'm going Spivak money line, and I'm on the over 1.5. I have a terrible, terrible, terrible record of betting heavyweight over 1.5s. I think the last over I bet on Bet MMA was the Curtis Blades Derek Lewis one, which infamously tanked 1 minute before the over. But I'm going over 1.5 here. I'm picking Sergey to survive the early storm, and if the fight goes over 1.5, I think that really favors the Moldovan monster here, Sergey Spivak.
This guy couldn't even hold his hands up against Olenek. Okay,
oh, yeah,
let me just add in. Okay, Spivak is in on short notice. You look at his Instagram; he was in Russia like 2 weeks ago, taking pictures with his girlfriend and his baby. This
family
guy was not.
time. That's good for the mental.
It is good for the mental. He was not training for a high level UFC fight, and I think he's getting iced here. It's just simple as that. And I will not take this Andrei Arlovski slander anymore. Okay,
No, I don't mean to disrespect Andre.
Andrei Arlovski got finished by Aspinall, right? He won 3 of his last 4. He got cleaned by Rosenstrike, and he lost the split decision to Sakai. If there's any plus money on this guy against Carlos Felipe, I will max bet. Take this to the bank. I will max bet Andrei Arlovski. I could get any plus money on him against Carlos Felipe.
Oh, okay? Yeah, duh. I mean,
this guy barely beats Carlos Felipe.
No, he did. He 29-27.
He barely won the 3rd round. No, he
No,
didn't.
Come on. Wait, no.
I don't even remember the fight. I'll be honest. I didn't watch
exactly.
Like,
Shut the fuck up.
But it was a
29-27 Spivak.
Carlos Felipe was in off of like a 3-year layoff and went to a decision with freaking Spivak.
I got a question. When the fighters are training with their dads, how does that make you feel? Is is it a good?
Listen, no, it's not good.
It's very
bad.
Aspinall,
I'll tell you right now, if Tom Aspinall loses, guess what? I'm right again, because that shows that freaking British fighters are awful. No.
You got to stay consistent with that, and that means
either way. In my opinion, I'm right either way. I've been telling people fade these British dudes, but Sergey Spivak's not the guy. Come on.
Nah, he is. He's got an elite high guard. None of those punches from Aspinall are hitting him.
It's just so easy to hit Spivak, dude. If Aspinall has any
not with that high guard
cardio, dude. If
that high guard is like a shield, bro, you cannot pierce that.
Be honest, you're relying on Aspinall to have shit cardio and fall apart. That's the only way that Spivak wins.
Well, that's not true. I mean, I'm
not taking him down easy in the first round. Is not happening. It's not happening.
Also, one thing, you claim that he is accurate. The man hurt Andrei Arlovski and spammed him with 30 strikes and still couldn't find a finish. I don't see much accuracy there.
I'm saying that range, he's accurate.
Yeah, he's not bad with the jab, the 1-2s and everything, but I think he's very front loaded. Can't you see a scenario where Spivak gets hurt early here, clings on, and then that's what we're gonna have. It's gonna happen. Aspinall's gonna sting him. He's gonna get tied up. He's gonna gas out. And,
I don't like Spivak, man. I don't like this guy's game.
You need to throw some respect. You need to throw some respect on.
I don't like this guy's game, man. I do not like it.
All right, that's enough of this fight. We're drawing a line.
No Romanov.
Next fight, main event of the card. Middleweight division, favorite Darren Till -177, Derek Brunson +152. So I'm a big fan of Derek Brunson, not the biggest fan of Darren Till. Brunson's been good to us as the dog in his past few fights, and he's the dog here again. And I think it is somewhat of a favorable matchup for Till. Till's definitely the better striker. He's pretty accurate with his punches. He's got good elbows as well, got power in both of those strikes. And Derek Brunson is, notoriously hittable, kind of fragile. And even in his most recent fight against Kevin Holland, when he was on the feet versus Holland, he did not look comfortable. He got hurt a few times in that fight. He got actually dropped pretty hard in round 2 there, but was still able to find that takedown because Kevin Holland's an idiot. So I definitely think that Darren Till is going to stun him at some point with a strike. It's just a matter of is Till smart enough to keep the distance, to not rush in and get overzealous and get taken down. I think he probably is. He probably is smart enough to hurt him with the shot and then pick a shot and find a kill shot. But I really hope that Till rushes in recklessly, finds himself tied up and gets himself taken down, because after one or two takedowns from Brunson, I don't think Till is going to be getting up much. Till looks pretty bad off of his back. You know, we haven't seen him there in a long time, since like 2017, but he did struggle off of his back. And I think Brunson's gonna, be really heavy on top, especially, middleweight. Till's not really used to that middleweight pressure. I don't think we've ever seen him on bottom at middleweight. So if Brunson gets those takedowns, I think he's gonna win minutes, he's gonna win rounds, and he's gonna really deplete Till's chances of winning by knockout. So -177 for Till, I disagree with that. If you like Till, take him by knockout. If he's winning this fight, it's with his striking. If he's winning the striking, he's likely going to be hurting Brunson at some point. Take the plus money on Darren Till knockout instead of his money line, because if this fight goes to decision, are you really going to be, feeling good about -177 on Darren Till? I do not think so. I think that if it goes to decision, it's probably going to be Derek Brunson with the cardio wrestling advantage rounds 3, 4, and 5 and winning the fight. So I don't have a whole lot of confidence in Brunson here. I think there's a good chance he gets iced in rounds 1 or 2 here. But I'll be cheering for the guy to survive that early storm, get his wrestling going, and to suffocate Till on top. So definitely feeling a lot less confident in this one than we were last time around against Kevin Holm. I'm pretty sure we both had multiple unit bets on Brunson there. But I definitely think he has a big risk in this one. But I've never been too impressed with Darren Till, and I'm still not really. So I'm not in love with the price tag. I'll pass this one over to you.
Yo. So I mean, Darren Till, his whole career has been super underwhelming. Like, I mean, this guy's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. He keeps getting big fights. Like, all his fights are like super big.
Right? Look at his main
I,
events. 6 of his
I,
past 7 are main
yeah,
events. Like, what
I'll give him
for?
credit. I'll give him credit. In the fight against Robert Whitaker, he got taken down, I think, twice in the 5th round. He got up both times, but I think at that point Whitaker was like, ah, whatever. Like, this guy doesn't really have power anymore. I'm locking this win up. And I definitely agree. I mean, I think Till definitely has potential to punch Brunson really hard in the first like 1 or 2 rounds. But Brunson, I mean, I think at this point, he knows his strengths. He knows how he's gonna win these fights. Till, I think he's probably really bad on bottom. Like, I just don't think that he's going to have much get up ability, from his back. But I mean, you see that, Brunson, I mean, the thing is with Brunson, he's easy to get countered because his head movement is just not there at all. He'll throw a punch and then he'll come right back into a stance, which you would think is good. But the thing is, he doesn't move his feet in and out of the pocket at all. I think Till, might even be able to land that elbow that he hit Robert Whitaker with, because, what's his name? Brunson's got that blonde hair. It's an easy target, to hit a dude in the head with that elbow. And Till against southpaw strikers, I think he takes his time a lot more. So I think that could be to his advantage in potentially preserving some of this knockout power, depending on how much how aggressive Derek Brunson is. I think Brunson, you see all the times he gets knocked out, it's in the first round. And I think it's probably would be I think it's better for Till, honestly, if Brunson's just super aggressive early on, because I think Till's pretty strong in the clinch. And I don't, Brunson doesn't have the best takedowns at range. So I think most of his takedowns, if and when they do come, are probably going to be against the cage in some
Yep.
fashion, right? Like, it's going to be pressing them against the fence, like getting
Good
some
point.
double legs, pulling them away, something like that. But I think early on it's gonna be pretty tough for him to make that happen. And I think Till's gonna be able to land some clinch strikes, maybe circle off the fence and then start landing shots there soon thereafter. So I think I like Brunson here a little bit, because I do think eventually if he doesn't get knocked out in the first round, and he does approach this fight in a more intelligent fashion, he can make this quickly a very, very close fight where like live odds would be either in his favor or very, very close. I wouldn't lay this juice with, like you said, I wouldn't lay the juice with Darren Till. I don't think that the I don't see if what's his name? If Brunson is losing, I think he will get over aggressive potentially, and there'll be a finish. I do see some people betting that under. But I mean, honestly, I'm not that interested in getting involved in the fight. It would be Brunson for me or pass. But I would, be interested in this live line, even potentially like even on Till, even if he loses that first round, because I do think that Brunson has some decent cardio, but I think that Till can hang around, and he's pretty good because he doesn't throw that many strikes. He's pretty good at conserving some of that gas tank, and there's always hairy moments in Brunson fights. Like he got head kicked by Ian Heinisch. He got hit with a few strikes by Shabazian. That first round against Holland was crazy. And Holland's just a clown, so there's not much you could take from that fight. So we'll see if Darren Till could rise to the occasion. They definitely want him to win. But Brunson, he's been on a good run here. And let's see if he can, implement that grappling game and he should be looking for damage and submissions, I think, on top of Till, not just holding them down. So
Yeah, some interesting
all I
props
got.
here. Brunson sub plus 2,900.
Oof, what?
Brunson decision plus 500 also as well.
Sub
So
prop is insane.
yeah, I mean it has Till sub at more 23 to 1, so more likely than Brunson. That makes very little
No
sense.
sense.
But yeah, I think if it goes to decision, it's going to be favoring Brunson, like you said. And good point about if Brunson's losing, he's going to come forward. He's going to get aggressive. He probably will get himself knocked out. And you can never favor that volume of Darren Till if it's going to the decision. So it seems like we're in pretty good agreement with that one. But we definitely have some disagreements on this card. Hopefully next week we'll see who's right. We disagreed on the Dolce-MAB fight. Zawada-Morono, Aspinall-Spivak, and let's see who's right about these predictions next week. So, any official track bets? I think the only one you have is Martinez, correct?
The only one I have is Martinez, and yeah, that's the only one that I'll commit to. I like I said, I'll have some on Zawada. I'll probably take a little bit of Luigi, especially his price going up. But we'll save the rest for later if there is
Yep.
any.
I got
Everyday weekend.
Spivak, the over in Spivak ends by knockout in Martinez and the Erosa fight. So 4 track bets on my Bet MMA page. And that's going to do it for this week's podcast. Only 10 fights this week, but still a pretty entertaining card. And, any closing thoughts, Ozzy?
Nah, I think I gave a lot.
Word. Sounds good. So thank you all for tuning in. We are coming off our first collective losing week, but we'll bounce back this week, I'm sure, with some profit.
Those bets we gave these guys, they made money on it. There's no lose. These guys made money on those bets we gave them last week. There's no way. I gave them Danny Rod, D-Rod. I gave them Sabatini sub. I told them bet on that duel, and these guys made money.
True. Yeah. If you listen to everything Ozzy said, yeah, possibly.
Everybody lost on Edson. Everybody lost on Edson. All right.
Yeah. Brutal. All right, that's gonna do it for this episode. Hope you all enjoyed the card this weekend. Hope you all win some bets, and we'll see you before the next UFC event. Peace out.